Now let's take you through some of the front pages of the newspapers, and joining us for that is Jide Ojo, who's a development consultant, an author, and a public affairs analyst. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us, sir.
My pleasure. Good morning. How was your weekend?
Mine was good, and I hope yours was great as well. All right.
Yeah, I had a restful weekend.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Let's get into the papers this morning, beginning with the Tribune newspapers here in Nigeria. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu reshuffles ministers' portfolios as government takes shape. Names Abubakar Momo as Minister of Niger Delta Development, moves Oyetola to Marine and Blue Economy. Tunji Ojo is now Minister of Interior. Saidu Alkali to take charge of Ministry of Transportation, and he swears in 45 ministers designate today. NDLEA intercepts fake $20 million cash on Lokoja Abuja Highway, recovers 4.8 billion naira worth of opioids in raids of Lagos drug warehouse. Concerns as currency in circulation drops by 7.51 billion naira, 133 days to old naira notes deadline. Why stolen funds from bank accounts are difficult to trace, according to NEF. Isesede, security agencies guard Ilorin River to prevent breakdown of law and order. More hunger looms as farmers harvest crops prematurely. Inflation bites. ECOWAS rejects Niger's hunters' transition plans. At the top, we have three more stories to go. Russia's Luna 25 spacecraft crashes into moon. Bauer's remand order has expired. Release him, Falana tells DSS. And final story, I think nominations open for 2023 Obafemi Awolowo Leadership Prize. The big story is what I'd like you to react to, Mr. Jide Ojo. Tinubu reshuffles ministers' portfolios as government takes shape. We're counting down the minutes to the inauguration of the ministers who have been screened and approved by the Senate. I'd like your thoughts on this story. Are you excited about the reshuffling that's happening? Are you excited about the inauguration that's coming? And do you think that this is a situation of, putting the right people, and that Tinubu has, as his reputation has been, had the eye to pick the right people for the job?
Well, we are counting down, and the hours is come upon us. But what is playing out shows that there was no thorough homework done before the announcement of the portfolios, and it shows the difference between governing a state and governing a country. Tinubu in Lagos perhaps knows 3/4 of his cabinet members, but here we are, he does not even know a quarter of the people who are nominated for him by the governors and the power brokers within the APC. As to the reshuffling, I don't think it's appropriate to say it's reshuffling of the cabinet. The cabinet is yet to be formed. We don't have a cabinet yet. We only have ministers designate. And given that, I would say it shows that the president is also bowing to pressure, public pressure. Because particularly for Engineer Abubakar Momo, a lot of people said, how could you make a 63-year-old person minister of youth? Is it that there are no youths? Is it that we do not have anyone among the cabinet members who is in their 30s, who will understand what the youth of Nigeria needs? How do you go and bring a grandpa to come and be minister of youth? People who we see, people like children. So I think to that extent, it's good move that he has reconsidered his stance on that and has moved Abubakar Momo to Ministry of Niger Delta. Again, nobody is sure what informed the change of his cousin, Oyetola, from Ministry of Transportation to Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. And you ask yourself, what does it entail? Does Oyetola even know what blue economy is all about? Does he understand what marine and blue economy is? I think maybe it should have been appropriate to have somebody from the Niger Delta region who will understand what the marine and blue economy is. I think Oyetunji Ojo, being from Ondo State, will have been a better person. He's a youthful person, and marine and blue economy is definitely one of the new innovations in the present contemporary world. So the Minister of Transportation has also changed. Maybe that is about North-South dichotomy. That why would you have your cousin as Minister of Transportation? The last holder of that office is also from Niger Delta. That's Rotimi Amechi. So they possibly want to, since the North has lost out at FCT level, they possibly want somebody from the North to take charge of transportation. But whatever it is within the prerogative of the president to choose whoever he likes as a minister designate. Right. As per the inauguration, we wait to see what will be the marching order, what will be the president's speech at that inauguration. We know that 100 days is beckoning. 100 days of Osarogie is beckoning in the next 15, 17 days. It will clock 100 days in office. And I think Nigerians are quite expectant to see what he will claim to have achieved in his first 100 days in office.
All right, let's move now to the Daily Trust newspapers this morning. There's many arguments concerning the ministers. I think it's also important that we look at what his manifesto really says about marine and blue, energy. I mean, what's the plan that he has for all these different ministries? So that might help us understand why these persons are being placed there. It might be that there is no actual plan. All right. Daily Trust this morning. ECOWAS rejects Niger's junta's 3-year transition plan. Pro-coup protesters warn ECOWAS against military action. The Pope calls for peace in Niger Republic. Tinubu reassigns portfolios, appoints Niger Delta minister, and also Benin, Niger, and Togo owe Nigeria 132.2 billion naira energy bills in 4 years. Bandits kill 5 men, kidnap women, rustle animals in Katsina. A few other stories this morning. Kano tribunals stop influencing judges. TMG cautions politicians, and just one more. Abandoned day-old baby dies in flood. That's a really sad story. All right, Mr. Ojo, quickly speak on the, ECOWAS and its reaction to the 3-year transition plan by the leaders in Niger. How do you see this playing out, and do you think ECOWAS is taking the right steps? They finally agreed to negotiate.
Well, finally agreed to negotiate, but what is it that they want to do in another 3 years that could not be done in 1 year? You could have an election. Like Niger Republic is not a very big country, and if they actually have a negotiated transition, maybe ECOWAS can backpedal and say, okay, even if you don't want to restore Mohamed Bazoum, but okay, we gave you till end of 2024 to have a new democratic government in place. But to be giving itself 3 years of transition, that is resorting to self-help. Because that most times when Niger wants to have elections, it depends on international community for bankrolling those elections. From France to America, USAIDs of this world. Even Nigerians adapt to donate vehicles and support to neighboring countries to help them organize successful elections. So I am with ECOWAS for rejecting that 3-year transition program. It's just meant to buy time so that the junta will consolidate its hold on the economy and on the country, and they should not allow them to get away with this. What's wrong with the democratic government of Bazoum? If Bazoum as an individual has committed a crime, you can impeach him. That's the beauty of democracy. There are provisions for impeachment. There are provisions for recall of members of parliament. Now you have clamped over 1,400 political leaders in
Mr. Ojo, I'm sure if we're being honest, these things never work. The democracy that is being practiced, in Africa, in many African countries, never really, gives a true value of democracy. I don't remember that any president has been, been impeached, in the last decade and
you
more.
have a point there, but has the military junta done any better?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just saying that, you can imagine, you can understand the frustration of people when they realize that, they're practicing democracy, but they can't actually do anything with the democracy they're practicing.
Another perspective to look at it would be democracy is the will of the people. And it does seem that the people of Niger at this point do want the military, at least for a time. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. Mr. Jide, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. We look forward to having you join us again.
My pleasure. Do have a great week ahead.
You as well.